In the unforgiving world of MMA, a fighter's journey is never a solitary one. Behind every warrior is a guide, a coach who sees the potential before anyone else can. Someone who understands that true strength isn't just built in a cage, but in the bond between the fighter and the mentor. It's the coach who pushes when the fighter wants to quit. It's the coach who knows when to step back and step in. Through every cut, bruise, defeat, they stand as both the foundation and the fire that fuels the fighters that will rise once again. A fighter is only as strong as the team that supports them. And for fighters, the team begins with their coach, a relentless force who shapes not just technique, but mindset and strategy and heart. The fight is never just about physical strength. It's about mental resilience and the ability to trust and be trusted. A coach stands hand in hand, the voice in the corner that whispers, "You can do this." This is not just a story of fighters, but the bond that elevates them, and a coach and his story. A coach who helps their fighters reach to a place that they never could get alone. Welcome to the story of Coach Terry, the founder and the coach of Brooklyn MMA. Produced some of the top tier fighters. Tune in, grab a seat, and enjoy the episode. All right, we rolling, man.
We're rolling. Let's do this.
Here we go, man. Special episode of Rell Gato TV. Before we get into it, please like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. We got somebody very special, a champion maker, a champion in his own right, a businessman, a father, a husband. The name rings bells in Brooklyn. If you know about fighting, you know Coach Terry. And I'd like to say personally on air, somebody who changed my life in a lot of positive directions, and I want to really get into that. We got the one and only Coach Terry. Let's clap it up, Coach.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate that introduction.
Absolutely,
it means a lot.
Absolutely.
I like to think of myself as someone who represents Brooklyn.
Yes.
Love me or hate me, this is Brooklyn's first MMA gym, which makes me Brooklyn's first MMA coach. We opened up in 2008.
Okay.
There were no MMA gyms. We had a BJJ gym. There was
Right.
a Muay Thai gym, but there was no MMA gyms. And Brooklyn needed it, and I brought it. And we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Wow. And you know what's so crazy? Like, let me tell you how I found out about you. Because I was in the gym. I was trying to get myself together after a bad situation. I had a little, let's just say I had a team of my own, and I had some people that walked away from the team. Now, no bad blood to them. Everybody moves on, but I was kind of lost. I didn't have a team no more, and I'm one of them people that I thrive well in a team environment, because life is teamwork. Business is teamwork. And but I didn't have one. So I was going to the gym daily, but I felt like I didn't have nothing to push. And so I said to myself, I got to find something that I could be a part of, that people can hold me accountable to be better, not just as, a person who's trying to be fit, but more so a man. And so I said, you know what? Let me get into MMA. And, I'm from Canarsie, a couple blocks from here to be exact. And I said, let me just search the nearest MMA gym. And then Brooklyn MMA came up, and something popped in my head. I said, yo, why did they name this Brooklyn MMA? So that's crazy. You're the first person to do something in Brooklyn.
I mean, if I wasn't, I would have never been able to snatch that name. Just think about it like that.
Yeah.
The name itself has value and
Right.
it's worth money.
Right.
That Brooklyn Mixed Martial Arts.
Right.
Everyone from Brooklyn that has an MMA gym would love to have that name.
Right.
But they would have had to start it back in 2008, have that vision of doing that.
And that's, it's so crazy to pay respect to the borough of Brooklyn, New York, and just to be able to be you're literally a pioneer.
I am. Yeah. And to get back to what you said in regard to like representing Brooklyn,
Yeah.
I actually moved to Florida. I was out there, took a long vacation for like 10 months. And as beautiful as Florida is, and I love the politics, and there's a lot of stuff I love there, I missed the action.
Right.
I missed Brooklyn.
Right.
And I came back.
Right.
I didn't even make it a year. So was like a little bit after COVID. I went out there.
Yeah.
And 10 months, and I came back home, and I'm very happy to be home.
Man, and be very happy to have you because this mat changes people's lives. You know, I could testify to that. When I came here, I was 255 pounds. I had lost weight prior, working out, praying, fasting, doing what I normally do, my regimen, and then I gained the weight back. I ballooned right back up to 255. So today, as we speak, I'm now back down to that 230 range. And it's because of this place. It's because of you. It's because of my brothers here on this mat. So you're really you make champions. And we definitely need to pay homage to you. I really believe in honor, and you deserve that honor,
I appreciate
But
that.
I want to get into the origin story. I want to get into you in the fight game. I want to talk about any previous career that you had before. And then I want to kind of talk to you in terms of family, running a business, because this is a business. And I also want to get into, some of the challenges that you may have faced along the way.
Sure.
You mentioned COVID, and that was a challenge for everybody, right?
Sure. We had to close.
Right.
But the bills still had to be paid.
Yeah.
You have to keep the website on. You have to keep the phone running.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people just think it's a matter of only, just keeping the establishment, but you have to keep everything else along with it.
Yeah.
So, it's tough, but we did it.
It made it through.
We made it through.
And it's important to tell the stories, because sometimes in a fight game you see the fighters, but you don't really know the backstories of the coaches.
Correct.
And the people that actually help the fighters to get there. I come in here, I have a whole new respect for a fight team and a fight camp, and how every single person in that fight camp plays a role for the next upcoming fighter.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that prior to coming here. I just thought, the fighter had somebody holding the mitts. No, it's much more than just holding the pads. It's much more than that, because the mentality of a fighter, as you know, is completely different from the average human being.
Absolutely.
So I definitely want to get into that. Let's get started with originally from Brooklyn, born and raised?
Born and raised.
Yes.
Brooklyn
Where you at in Brooklyn?
Brooklyn bred. I'm Marine Park.
Marine Park?
Yeah,
cool.
Marine Park.
And what was high school like? Were you an athlete in high school? Were you?
I was not until my last year, which was my senior year, but I actually then dropped out and took my GED, and I went right to Wall Street. I got my hustle on. I got on the phone. I was a cold caller. So I skipped a little of school.
Yeah.
But not to be in the streets, to go right to the grind.
Right. Talk about that Wall Street experience. What is that like? Because everybody's seen the Wall Street movie. They see Gordon Gekko. They see the person hitting them lines and calling everybody and trying to get these stocks sold to different people. Is it really like that? Like, what's the vibe with that?
Right now, I can't testify if it's like that or not. I highly doubt it because of the regulations, etc.
Yeah.
But I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 47 years old, and I could tell you, the business made me who I am today. And it's one thing to watch the movie, but it's one thing to live it, and I lived it.
Yeah.
I was on private jets with Al Palagonia.
Wow.
With guys that were very big.
Yeah.
And very big on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And these weren't guys from Merrill Lynch, if you know what I mean. They were more boiler room type.
Yeah.
Private. We would call phone terrorists.
Okay.
We would call up. We were doing overseas business, so we were calling people in Australia, in the United Kingdom. We were doing foreign currencies, and basically.
So before Forex was popping, you was already.
Before Forex was popping, I wasn't actually trading it. I would call you up, tell you we were trading the dollar versus the yen at the time. Tell you we're looking to make you X amount of money over X amount of time. Open you up on a small amount.
Okay.
A week later, come to you with the big new. Try to hit you with the second trade.
Yeah.
And I did very well. And I learned a lot. What I learned is the work ethic. Okay. That's what it taught me.
Okay.
And that will stay with me forever.
Okay. So question. When you're on Wall Street now, right, and you're literally in a pool with the sharks, am I correct?
Correct.
Does it teach you how to be hyper competitive?
You have to be.
Okay.
Or you won't make it.
Okay.
So just to preface, before I left school, I tried being a cold caller in Wall Street. 16 years old, summer, I made it 1 week.
Damn.
You would get someone on the phone, they would come to your desk, This guy's name was Frank. I'll never forget. He had a little baseball bat. He would slam the desk, make you stand up. They would make you pitch a room of 100 guys. It's my first week. I'm 16, taking the command bus from Brooklyn to the city.
Yeah.
And I was in shock. But within that week, I saw things that I'll never forget. I saw the guys that were making money.
Yeah.
I saw the type of money, the way they were living, the suits they were wearing, the cars that they were pulling up in, or rather leaving in.
Yeah.
And I said, I need that type of money. I don't want a regular job. So I knew I had to get back in that industry.
Yeah.
So when I was a little more mature and an opportunity occurred, my friend was in Wall Street doing foreign exchange.
Yeah.
I got in.
Let me ask you, like, during that time, you were saying that you came straight from high school and then you jumped straight into Wall Street to sidestep getting into the streets. Could the streets or bad living, could that have been a possibility for your life if you didn't make that move?
Yeah, I was around not good people.
Yeah.
But the people, I wasn't around the best people.
Okay.
But I was a worker. I was always looking to make money.
Right.
And I was going to do it the legit way.
Right.
Even though I found it intriguing to be around those dangerous type of guys.
Yeah.
Even a little bit later in life.
Yeah.
But I knew main thing was grinding and making money.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, when you were on Wall Street, you went 16. How long did you stay on Wall Street?
I made it a week. I made it a week.
Uh-huh.
And then I went back when I was maybe 18.
Okay.
But that 2 year gap of me just working in a gym. I worked in a gym, actually.
Okay.
I just had Wall Street on my mind. I saw a friend of mine that wasn't the brightest kid, took his GED as well, and he's making 6 figures, making 100 grand a month. And that was back then when money was different.
That's a different ticket. That's a different ticket.
So I'm like, if this kid could do it, I could do it. So I actually, even though I had a good job at the gym, as a young kid, I was making money. The owner took me under his wing. Yeah. I left. And I went to Wall Street. I was a cold caller. I'll never forget. I was making $250 a week, so I budgeted out basically. Hold on. Let me tell you. As a cold caller, you get $250 a week. It was $50 a day for me to get through. And the weekends, my parents took care of me. And I would get to the city 8:30 a.m. I would come home 11 o'clock at night.
Damn.
You had to open up 250 leads. You had to get for the broker you work for. Then you had to open up 10 to 20 accounts, and then you're on your own.
Wow.
So some people never make it. Yeah. Me, it took not that long, considering, maybe 6-7 months. And leash was taken off, and I was on my own. And that was it. I started making money.
Damn. You know what's so crazy too? Like, when I was younger, I kind of dibbled and dabbled into the street thing too. And my first experience in hopping off the porch was at a really young age. I keep it all the way 100. Like, my mom's had a drug problem. My father had a drug problem as well. So 10 years old, I grew up in tough environment. I was running around Queens with a box cutting people. And that's because I was an angry, neglected child. And as I got older and my mom's got her stuff together and me and my father reconnected, everybody started getting their things together. I still kind of had that in me, that misplaced aggression. And I started hanging around with I can't say the wrong people because I was one of the wrong people. I was one of them. So, I was what I was hanging around with. And, it's funny that you mentioned that you had someone who gave you an opportunity in the gym. It's kind of the same thing for me. I had somebody who kind of pulled my coat and was like, yo, bro, you're going to end up really doing some time, because the charges that I was getting when I was younger, they were assault and battery, robbery, 1 and 2s, but the people didn't show up to court. And I'm not saying this to say that I'm a big gangster, because I'm not. I'm a father, right? But what I could tell you is, it's so good to hear that you was able to check yourself and understand that you had to get on a better path, even though you was around that environment, because some people don't have that opportunity.
Sometimes just being around that environment, even if you're not the one, pulling the trigger, you're going to be held responsible. My mother called me one day. I was living in Staten Island. I had I bought a house. So I was making that type of money. And she's like, you got to come over right now. She
Yeah.
lived in Brooklyn. She still lives the same place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? What's going on? She goes, I can't tell you on the phone. My mother's never said that to me before. She's like, I can't tell you on the phone. You have to come right now.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I grabbed, one of the guys.
Yeah.
I went to my house, and my mother's like, look, the Organized Crime Task Force just left. If you don't surrender by Monday, do a self-surrender, there's a warrant for your arrest. And that changed my life, basically.
Right.
So I did my self-surrender.
Right.
I got with an attorney. I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
And I said I never want to go through this again.
Yeah.
I stopped hanging around certain people.
Yeah.
And I just put my blinders on.
Yeah.
Got to work.
Same thing. Like, my call was a little bit different. My wake up call was, they came in high school. I mean, full disclosure, I was doing dumb shit since 22 years old, 23. Real talk, even as a father, real talk, I've recently done dumb shit, in my mid-30s, I should say. And it just goes to show how easy it is. You could go backward. And my grandma used to always tell me this: an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yes.
If you ain't got nothing to do,
Yes.
and you bored, and you around the road people, the likelihood of some dumb stuff popping off is high. But I want to pivot. I want to get into something, right? I want to get into, how did you make, what's the most bread you ever seen on Wall Street?
So basically, there's a movie, Boiler Room, and there's a movie, Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street is very, very accurate. It's
Okay.
about a guy named Jordan Belfort.
Right.
And there's another guy named Al Palagonia, and I really think that he was more depicted in the movie Boiler Room, which came out first.
Right.
But those guys were pulling in. So when I was doing currency, I was pulling in six figures. I had months where I was doing 100 grand.
Nice.
Months where I was doing 120, 130.
Nice.
But I never maxed more than that.
Yeah.
These guys were pushing $1 million a month.
Sheesh.
$1 million a month. I mean, we were taking private jets to go see the Knicks play. We went to Indiana. We went to, if they were playing the Heat, we went to Miami. So we would charter a private jet. These guys would get cases of Cristal, big trays of shrimp and lobster, etc.
Yeah.
Spike Lee was up on the jets with us.
What?
John Leguizamo, like big Knicks, because these guys were big Knicks fans. And we were Wall Street brokers. We were trying to get them as our clients.
Right.
So we would pay for them. They would get on the jet. We would pay for we would sit front row, even at the Garden. Maybe it cost like $2,000, $3,000, if depending on who they were playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Michael Rappaport used to be there.
I like Michael Rappaport.
Yeah.
He's funny. Damn.
So basically, these guys.
And this is back in the 90s.
In the 90s.
That's a different type of bag.
This was in the 90s. Yeah, this was in the 90s.
So now you into Wall Street.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So these guys were pulling
heavy bread.
$1 million plus a month.
Damn, that's cheese, man. That's a lot of cheese.
I was looking up to them.
Yeah.
I was trying to get like them.
But you was still making, by today's standard. Like, I don't even know if most people understand, but if you talking about the 90s, if you pulling in 100 grand a month, that's like pulling $250,000 in today's standard.
Correct.
So that's a high ticket.
And it's very hard to do right now.
It's super hard.
Back then it wasn't so hard.
Right.
Now it's very hard to make that type of money.
Okay, so now we get to Wall Street, you get to the private jets, you going crazy, you turning up. How did you end up fighting? How'd you get into this game?
So, first of all, the Wall Street thing, after 9/11, when that shit happened, I never went back. So after that, I actually got into mortgages.
Okay.
Because of my experience, I ran my own mortgage room.
Right.
I ran it for a little while. We were doing all the refinancing.
Right.
And making money until we couldn't make money anymore.
Right.
And then, like most men, I was angry. Fight with the girl.
Right. Did you have kids at the time?
I didn't have kids.
Okay.
I was pretty young, but I was angry. I was just angry.
Yeah.
And the only thing that made me happy was when I would go to the gym and hit the bag.
Mm.
When I was doing some type of combat sports,
right,
I was happy.
Right.
So I joined the gym. I joined a self-defense gym.
Okay.
It was called Arnish Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
Stand-up Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Did it for like 4 years.
Okay.
And then really started to get into the UFC. Watching it, wanting to learn it, looking for a gym. Yeah. And there is no gym. And I'm like, I don't want to do the self-defense anymore.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to open up an MMA gym. And that was that entrepreneur in me from from the stock, from the mortgages. Before that, I owned the bagel store.
Right.
You know, I owned the juice shop.
Right.
So I was like, I'm gonna open up a gym.
Right.
And I couldn't teach classes.
Right.
But I hired a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
I hired a guy to do Muay Thai.
Right.
And slowly started to build up the school.
Okay, so, you know, obviously I'm new, and I know you got some champions that you've been working with for a long time. Where was the original location? Were you always in this area, or did you move around?
So
or?
I was actually, I don't know if you want to call it Bensonhurst or Cropsey. I rented, so there was a gym, and the guy offered me a few nights a week. So I started the program Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
I paid him rent, cheap, $600, $700.
Right.
And I was building up. So no women's classes, no kids classes.
Right.
Only MMA, 4 hours a week.
Right.
I slowly built it up. 1 month, 20 guys. Second month, 30 guys. And then I went and got my own place.
And now when you went and got your own place, what was that like? And did you have the Brooklyn MMA name already stamped?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you hopped off the porch, as they say, and when jumped into your own, you was moving around looking for retail spaces?
Yeah, I was looking for spaces.
Okay.
When I left, I actually started in Gold's Gym.
Okay.
Harbor Fitness.
Yeah.
I was in an aerobics room. I rented that.
Okay.
It wasn't doing it for us, the wood floors.
Yeah.
The mats.
Yeah.
That's when I rented, it was a judo club where I rented that four nights a week.
Gotcha.
So I moved to like Avenue S on the west side.
Okay.
I did that. I built up my crew. They were loyal to me.
Right.
Like if I went to, said, we're training in the park.
Right.
They
They
came
there.
to the park.
Okay.
Coach Aldo was one of them.
Okay.
Like these guys started with me.
Yeah. Shout out to Aldo.
Shout out to Coach Aldo.
I don't know if you've ever looked on the well, for all the people who's watching, go check out Brooklyn MMA on YouTube. You'll see some clips of Coach Aldo. This guy is filthy. I mean, he gets busy. So if you're into martial arts and you want to definitely check him out, and we're going to segue all of that at the end, but I got the honor to meet Coach Aldo when he came, and very humble dude, but don't get it confused. He will really put you in your pockets. But so you had the loyal guys.
I had the loyal guys.
Coach Aldo. Who else was?
And he wasn't a coach. He was a student.
Right, he was your student.
At the time. He was like a first-year college kid.
Right.
You know, came in. Bully.
Oh,
Bully
yeah.
came in.
Shout out to Bully.
Shout out to Bully. Bully came in. He couldn't even he didn't even move his mouth when he was speaking.
Right.
And when I was on Wall Street, one of the things that I was taught, and we taught the guys, is move your mouth when you speak.
Right.
You know, we're selling to these CEOs, Fortune 500. You have to sound
like
you know
what you're doing.
You're not from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Bully came in. He's like, I want to get a fight. I'm like, what? I didn't even understand what he's saying. He's like, I want to fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, how about you just do a class?
Yeah.
Let's try a class.
Yeah.
And I grappled with him, and he threw me on my head. I said,
that sound like Bully.
I got up. I didn't even know what happened.
Yeah.
And I said, what was that? He goes, I know judo. And he never left.
Yeah.
And he was my first professional fighter. I made him a fighter. Yeah.
Wow. Shout out to Bully.
And Coach Aldo is our first in-house homegrown BJJ black belt. He went from white belt to black belt right here.
Wow. So, in other words, once you stepped out, you had the group of loyalty, and then y'all pretty much grew together.
We did. We grew together.
And not only just in the craft. Talk about that brotherhood that was established, because it's apparent.
Yeah.
Whenever you see these guys and they all together, they hold each other in high regard. Coach Bully I could call him Coach Bully because he teaches us as well, but Bully holds you in a high regard. Aldo holds you in high regard. I know you hold these guys in a high regard. I want you to talk about that culture, because that's very important. Was that on your mind to establish?
No.
Okay.
No. Currently, I'm all about the brotherhood and the camaraderie.
Right.
Because there are too many guys out there that are hurting.
Right.
And this helps.
Right.
So when I first started, it was all about making champions. Because I'm the first MMA gym. We're going to get in the ring. We're going to collect gold.
Right.
And this is what I like. This is my passion. So like, honestly, I was a good coach for guys that were looking to give it everything and fight. But if you came in and you weren't really in shape and you weren't looking to give it 100, I wasn't all I wasn't all in.
When did that change?
Changed a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It changed when my first original guys like Brandon, Aldo, Bully
Right.
grew up. And when I say grew up, became dads, went into the real world
Right.
of working.
Right.
And I started losing them as fighters because now they're fathers and
Right.
business guys, physical therapists.
Yeah.
They're older,
Right.
injured. Bully can't fight anymore.
Right.
You know, we took an eye injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I'm working with these new guys, and I have a lot of guys from other countries finding us,
Right.
etc.
Right.
It's not the same loyalty.
Right.
They didn't start in the trenches with me.
Right.
Blood, sweat, and tears is not the same.
Right.
Even if it occurs, it's not the same.
Right.
But now I know that.
Right.
So I went from just focusing on champions to trying to make champions, to try to make fighters, because I thought that was important. Then I went into a business mindset, and that neglected the fighters. The fighters started losing their fights because I wasn't training them as hard as I used to, because if I did, I would lose the newer guys, and the newer guys were my money.
Right.
So I went too much business,
Right.
and then I was letting guys fight that really shouldn't fight,
Right.
because I felt if I don't give them the fight, they're going to leave and go to another school.
Right. Right.
And I should have let them just say, there's the door,
Right.
instead of letting someone fight that I knew might not have a positive outcome because they weren't ready.
Right. Right.
And some people might never be ready,
Right.
no matter how hard you train. Some people might go to Wall Street and get on that phone all day and might never make it. The hard reality is the business, any business, podcasting,
Yep.
the gym,
Yep.
is not for everyone.
Yeah.
There are some people that just, it's not for them. I can't sit at an office all day. It's not for me.
Right.
And some people, this is not for them. So there are some people that are never going to be able to fight. And there are some people that are okay with that.
Yeah.
That are just lifelong martial artists.
Right.
And
Right.
those
Right.
are the best people.
Why you say that? Why are they
I'll
the
tell
best
you
people?
why. Because if I have 100 guys on the floor right now, very small percentage of them are actually competitors,
Right.
right? The rest of them all have day jobs. You have a day job.
Yes,
But
sir.
it's very important that I make you hard to kill.
Yeah.
It's very important that when you walk out, you have a level of confidence because you know you could handle yourself.
Right.
That carries through. When I'm walking down the street and a crazy guy is coming, I used to work in the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I know.
there would
yeah.
be, a crazy guy coming down the street. I'm walking down the street and I know my shit. I can handle myself.
Yeah.
And they could sense that.
Yeah.
They look at me,
Yeah.
they'll look at someone else, and then they'll go fuck with someone else.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
get it?
Yeah.
So I can't just focus on the 5-10 guys that are fighting. I
Right.
have to focus on everyone.
Right.
So I like that the women are tough.
Yeah.
I like that my guy Jason came to me
Yeah.
and he lost 50, 60 pounds.
Yeah.
A kid that was getting bullied
Yeah.
is no longer getting bullied
Yeah.
because we taught him how to defend himself.
Yeah.
So I don't hold the fighters up here
Yeah.
and everyone down here.
Right.
Everyone is level. But to me, the most important thing right now actually is the men, the camaraderie, and the brotherhood. Because we need it.
I want to really emphasize that. When we started the pod, I really, it's truly an honor to speak to you because that is needed. There's a lot of young men who are suffering. There's a lot of grown men who are suffering. And what you provide here, and I'm speaking for me, but I know I could speak for others who are in that category of life where they don't really know their next move, but they're old enough to be expected to know the next move.
Right.
You provide an outlook, and a culture here that's very important. We talk about how there's so many different people from so many different backgrounds. You got a surgeon, you got a cop, you got former gang members, you got fathers, you got 9-to-5 guys, high schoolers. But when we get on this mat and we say that magic word us after you give us a command, that provides something for us, that lifts the spirit of men and women. But I'm going to deal directly with us working. You got the ability to really pull the best out of human beings. How do you think that you've been, like, how do you feel knowing that you've been blessed with that gift? Because that's a gift.
I try not to think about that.
Okay, let's get into it.
This is the first year that I did not make a New Year's resolution.
Okay.
Because I just feel like I'm on point right now.
Hmm.
And there's nothing I could have asked for in my New Year's resolution that I don't say to myself daily or that's not in my head.
Yes.
I know what I need to do. I want to build strong men. I want to take men that were angry, men that were weak, and I want to make them strong, and I want to make them less angry.
Yes.
Obviously, I want my fighters all to win. I want all the kids to know how to defend themselves and not be bullied. But to me, right now, it's all about brotherhood, and I need these guys to really see the growth that they're making. Right. Not me, not the gym. Personally, each person, they're developing. Every single person that's coming and that's consistent is making gains.
I'm a testament to that.
To me,
yes,
that's nothing better. But I don't have time to think about that.
Yeah.
I just need to keep building.
Yes.
That's it.
Speaking of building, you're a father. You have a son. How many kids do you have? I've seen your son. You have 2 kids.
7-year-old and a 5-year-old daughter. 7-year-old son, 5-year-old daughter.
That's beautiful. How do you balance it? How do you manage the expectations of fatherhood, running a business, and literally raising other young men and men? How do you deal with that? Because I can only imagine how emotionally taxing all departments could be. I mean, full disclosure, I got a lady, I got a baby on the way, I got 2 babies at home. I run a business as well. I'm into real estate as well. It is a hard task to balance this. How do you do it?
Who could do it better than us? We're men.
Us.
We're built for this.
Us.
It's not easy, but we're built for this shit.
Us.
And we have to just keep pushing forward.
Us.
There are days that I'm like, just like, oh man, but I don't have time to be depressed, time to be tired, time to whine. I got champions to make. I got men to make stronger. We got things to do.
Yeah.
We got things to do.
Yeah.
So, I could sit there and sulk a little bit.
Yeah.
There are times, but at the end of the day, if you stay busy, everything else goes out the window.
Us. How do you include your family into your business? I see you had your son on the mat with us.
Yeah, I mean,
how does that work?
Well, people might not like this, but as far as I'm concerned, like, training is almost like religion for some people.
Us.
I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
But there are people that are very into,
Yeah.
into religion. To me, it's the same thing. My son has to train.
Us.
He doesn't have to be a fighter. He can be anything he wants. I'll never pressure him, but he needs to know how to defend himself.
How to handle himself.
He needs to know how to protect his sister, his loved ones. I'm not going to let him be weak.
Right. Does the wife train? Because I'm thinking about having my lady come here and maybe putting her some women's classes once she drops the new album, aka the new baby coming soon.
I'll say this. Yeah. I met my wife here in the kickboxing class. So that's all I need to say.
Not love at first sight, love at first fight.
Love at first fight, yeah.
Amen. Now, you said something, and I want to piggyback on that. You said you're not a religious man. Full disclosure, I had a very deep experience about a year ago. I did a 7-day fast. And I talk about this on my show all the time because the spiritual side is important of any human being. And, we could talk on the things on a surface level, but I really do want this podcast to help people find their way, not just on a physical level, on a mental, financial, spirit, but most on a spiritual level, because that's where it all starts, internally, then externally. Are you a believer in God?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that you are living out the purpose that God put you on earth?
For the
before?
for the first time, I think I'm on the correct path.
Us.
Yes.
Us.
You can make a lot of money, but not be on the correct path.
Us.
Right? So, I believe now I'm helping people.
Yes.
I'm making people, feel better, making people healthier.
Yes.
And now I believe that I am on the right path.
Us.
And I'm happy about it.
Good, good. And do you feel like God has blessed you because of this? Because you're in alignment with that path?
Yes. And anytime you have healthy children, that's a blessing from
Oh,
God.
yeah. Amen.
And my children are healthy.
Amen.
That's number one.
Amen.
So I do feel blessed.
I want to pivot into something. Have you ever had any student that came here that had issues and you can tell and you were not able to reach them and they end up getting lost in the world into things that may not be so beneficial to their lives and other people's lives?
Sure.
How,
you know the saying, I mean, you can't help
everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It happens, and it hurts more when you really like the person,
right?
Because I mean, generally, I like everyone, but you always have guys that you bond with more, that you click with.
Yeah.
So when that happens, yeah, it's like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
But my attitude is, I can't give it too much thought because then I'm gonna lose focus of the guys that I have now,
right?
My family,
right.
So if I'm, crying over spilled milk so much, what's going on now is gonna get cold,
right? Yeah.
So one day, I hope, and it's happened before. It could be years later. They walk back in this door, or they don't walk back in the door, but they contact me.
Right.
They send me a message.
Right.
And that happens a lot.
Us.
Yeah.
That's what you said is very important, and this is for anything. You said that if you're worried about spilled milk, you can't focus on what's in front of you.
Correct.
And that's so important because depression is really rooted in what was.
Yes.
And not what is.
Yes.
And a lot of guys, I mean, me included, before coming here, I had some serious issues with depression. I had 2 kids. I'm making decent money, but I wasn't making, obviously we live in New York. So I started ruminating over all the bad decisions. And then, by the grace of God, I made sure that I started taking the right steps. One of the right steps being coming to this place, training with the guys, training underneath your tutelage and all the other respected coaches here. And then I started realizing something. Martial arts makes you focus on the present moment because you have no other choice.
No choice.
So what do I mean by that? If you're going at it with a guy, you're not worried about that bill that you can't pay. You're worried about not catching this left hook.
Correct.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
And when you do that every single day, what I've noticed for me, and I can't speak for others on this, but what I noticed is that I've had a much easier time dealing with the present moment. I'm not anxious for the future like that no more because I know that I spend at least an hour to 2 hours being completely present, mind, body, and spirit in alignment. And then to be with my brothers on this mat, that's like the icing on the cake. So I could really understand what you're saying. And I'm pretty sure for the listeners who listen to this show, really break down how fortunate you are to live in the present moment as opposed to crying over spilled milk.
Absolutely.
You know?
I could have a really, rough day. I could be angry. I could be depressed, upset, whatever it may be. But I will look forward to that Monday night, Wednesday night MMA, or the morning sessions with the guys because just that camaraderie.
Right.
Seeing them work hard, push extra for me.
Right.
Whether I'm getting in there myself or not.
Right.
I just feel when I leave, I feel good.
Yeah.
I just feel good.
Yeah. What is it like seeing your guys come from this mat to getting into the cage to you being in a corner? I mean, you mentioned Bully, Coach Mega. These guys have ring experience. What is it like taking your guys and walking them down to that cage? What is that feeling like? Talking to them in the corner, coaching them in real time where they're fighting somebody that could possibly kill them. How do you manage that?
So let me tell you, when you get in the cage it's just you and the person.
Right.
But getting to that point, it's a complete team, like you mentioned in the beginning.
Right.
So now, after doing all this work and being with the brothers every day for whatever the camp was, 4 weeks, 6 weeks plus, we never stopped training. We're always training
Right.
even before camp.
Right.
Camp just means we're adding extra sessions, the intensity increases, etc.
Right.
To me, we just can't wait to get in there
Right.
and get it over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? It's a lot of it's anxiety.
Yeah.
I get nervous like I'm getting in there. You know, especially when you really like when it's like your brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, when Mega's getting in there or something, like, you know, my heart, I feel like I have a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then there are some guys in there that you're not as nervous. And
Right.
It's not because you're not as so you could be nervous for someone based on an opponent that they're fighting.
Right.
You could be nervous for someone extra because you're very close with them, like they're your blood.
Right.
You could be nervous for them maybe because you feel they're underprepared, or maybe they had an injury in camp.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons. But then there are some other guys that you just never get nervous because you know how prepared they are, and you know it's just another day for them. So I have those experiences with both. Some I have, you know, anxiety, and some it's just like I'm not even there.
We just came off of a fight. This team just came off a fight of victory. Shout out to the champion that you raised, the young bull. I definitely want to give him his flowers because he worked hard as well. My brother Heim. Did you feel that anxiety for him when he stepped in the ring against his opponent?
No. No.
Talk about it.
Heim, to me, it's called the Heim Project.
Wow.
I took a personal interest in him.
Right.
And I took him under my wing, and I'm working with him a lot.
What makes you do that? What makes you take the personal interest in that?
When someone is willing to work as hard as he's willing to work.
Yeah.
No questions asked, no attitude, no excuses.
Right.
I'll give you everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Heim don't even talk.
Doesn't talk, doesn't ask questions, doesn't ask why, nothing. He does everything he's told. Concentration's 100%. And when we got there, and I've said this before, I saw the guy, the commentator, and I said, my guy's making a debut tonight. You're going to announce him, and he's going to win. Not like it's going to be an exciting. I've said before, my guy, you're going to see an exciting fight, spinning this, spinning that. Oh, my guy's a great wrestler. Watch these takedowns. I didn't do that. I just knew from the preparation. When you do preparation like we did,
Hard to kill.
I just knew. I knew he was going to win.
Us.
No, there were no shortcuts.
Us.
So I just knew we were going to win.
Us. And shout out to him. You know, being
7 months in. So
incredible.
7 months.
I've got an honor to work with him. Because like I said, I'm a little old, but my job is to be able to add value to this mat because I respect what you do. Your name rings bells, and your name rings bells amongst people who I hold in high regard. I remember when and I told you this off camera, but shout out to my dog Sensei. I went to his barbershop. And he's like, yo, Rell, what's going on with you? What's going on with the music? And da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm still in the game, still doing the music, but, you know, I'm checking out this MMA thing. And now, mind you, he's a martial artist as well. He's been practicing for some years. And he goes, yo, where you training at? I said, Brooklyn MMA. And then he said, Coach Terry? And the way he said it was like, and mind you, my dog Sensei is solid. So when he said it, I looked at his facial expression. And he was excited. And it was an excitement because he knew, Rell, you're going to be in solid hands. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, your name was respected, right? And we didn't get into detail on how, you know, because that's none of my business, to be quite honest. All I know is that for him to say your name, the way that he said it, I knew, okay, yeah, I found the right place. I found the right place. I'm going to get what I'm looking for, which is exactly what I got, to get in shape, but more so to be a part of an organization that is built on strength and honor, respecting their man, the brotherhood. And that is really important, you know. I want to kind of lead to some wrap-up questions in terms of what do you want in the next like 2 or 3 years for this gym to do? Are you looking at expansion? Are you looking at opening up another locations? Are you looking at what's the whole concept? Are you focusing on going to the UFC or whatever federation that's available with the fighters here? What's the whole thing?
So my plan right now for 2025 is to really align myself with some schools.
Okay.
I want to get into schools. I want self-defense to be part of the curriculum.
Okay.
I think it will make kids better kids.
Right.
I think they need martial arts. So I already have, as you see, I have schools that come in.
Right.
I want to do that a little bit more, build that up to a larger scale. And over the next 2 years, I would like to see at least 1 or 2 of my guys get to the UFC. So that's a goal. And another location in Long Island is in the near future also.
Okay.
But that's more down the road.
Okay, good. And this is the final question. It's a question that I often ask myself, because we all got to meet our maker someday. Life is finite. We never know when our next day is. But the question that I often ask myself is, what do you want people to say about you when you go?
He was solid. He was a man's
us.
man.
Us.
To me, being a man's man is the most important.
Us. Amen. And on that note, man, I think we're going to close out on that. Man, truly an honor. Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I got everything that I asked for, in my prayers this morning. And I'm very thankful to you. I'm thankful for the champions that you're making here. I'm thankful for the kids that you're raising here, the men and the women that you will help give them a second chance.
I'm thankful you're part of our journey.
Man, it is truly an honor. Truly an honor. And with that being said, we're going to sign off. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, share. Coach, where could they find you at?
BrooklynMixedMartialArts.com if you would like to check out our website. We're 2418 Ralph Avenue. Come down for a class. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all over.
Awesome.